Welcome to the Bowling Promotion Cup 2010. Something new from the 10-pin bowling world for you on Eurosport this evening. And it's all the brainchild of the man that we're just about to see bowling. Bruno Bidoni leaves a ringing 10 to start things off. The man from Monaco, who came up with this concept of inviting players from development nations, as well as stars from the likes of the PBA and other areas of European bowling, to gather together here at the Chateaubriand Bowling Centre, just outside of Paris. And the idea behind this promotional cup is exactly that, to promote the sport, but unfortunately an open frame at the start of these set ladder finals for Bruno. We've got Bruno Bidoni versus Viktor Krasavkin of Russia to get things underway. Then the winner of this one will go on to meet Phil Holst of the Netherlands, and whoever wins that one will go on to meet Sergei Andreev, and everybody heading towards the PBA player Michael Haugen Jr. in the championship match. So we'll see who makes it as this program develops. And I think Krasavkin will take that start. Alongside me, as ever, our Eurosport bowling expert, Cass Edwards. Good to have you back in the commentary booth, Cass.
Simon, thanks. It's good to be back, and it's great to see a bowling promotion programme aimed at viewers that may not see 10-pin bowling on a regular basis on Eurosport. As you say, the concept of Bruno Bidoni here, man from Monaco.
Started with an open, did Bruno, so really does need to respond here to that double that Victor threw first up. Stylish bowler is the man from France, but at the moment not finding his target. But in defence of the bowlers, and I think it's very important to say this early on, Cass, we've got a really tough flat oil pattern, so let's not be too optimistic with the scores.
Simon, yeah, I was just going to go there. This is what they call a flat oil pattern. Now, that means that the oil that's on the lane, the conditioner, is equal in the middle and the outside. That's left and right. Gutter to gutter is identical. So there's no high points in the middle of the lane. And the situation is that you have to play very precise and accurate shots, make variable movements when the lane starts to break down. And that's the only way you're going to overcome this condition. Pretty tough as it goes. And unfortunately, Bruno started off with a couple of open frames, while Victor, the man from Tula in Russia, has started off with a double. And that doesn't help Bruno very much, I'm afraid. Little smile on his face. This could be the third open frame in a row. Now, you saw the ball hurry on. It skidded past almost the head pin. So we're going to get the impression, we are getting the impression that there is quite a bit of oil on the lane. As I say, it's equal gutter to gutter. It's just a matter of how thick that oil is and how deep it is. And it would appear from his first couple of shots that it's quite heavy oil. So we're going to get lots of aquaplaning for the first 40 feet. And then hope we can get some hook in the back end and pick up spares like that. Great looking shot from Bruno.
Bruno finally gets his mark. Must be tough, though, organising and running a tournament like this and then trying to clear your head so that you can actually bowl. That's not easy for any of you out there that have done that, bowled in your own tournament, and you'll know exactly how tough it is. Victor then, working a double. Taking it slightly wider to the gutter this time, and that one cut back on him ferociously.
Well, it certainly had a lot of rotation on the ball, and as you said, it went out to the gutter and then really hooked up, overreacted in the back end. Left the 3, 4, 6, 7, 10, which is quite a big split. But it is makeable. And that was a reasonable shot, but unfortunately just couldn't make it. So his first open frame in frame number 3.
Victor, 41 years of age. Like most of these guys, has been bowling for quite a while. Did represent Russia in the 40th AMF World Cup. He was the man that really was responsible for setting up the structure of the Russian Bowling Federation. So you can see already the way this story is developing in terms of this promotional cup. This is featuring guys that have been very influential in developing the sport across Europe. And for emerging nations like Russia, it's fantastic to see these guys competing on an international stage.
Yeah, you're quite right, Simon, and you could tell by the style of Victor that he's been bowling for a good few years. And it's good to see him out getting some international competition. And let's hope that some of the other Team Russia players can get around Europe, get some real tough opposition from the top players, and so consequently develop their own game at home.
And in terms of the crowd behind this lane, that's the way the 10-pin bowlers like to do it. I sometimes feel, Cass, you could put the most beautiful grandstand at the back of a lane, but your 10-pin bowlers would still stand, wouldn't they? They'd want to watch from the side.
They actually want to watch from behind, as these ones are, because what they like to do is they like to stand behind the bowler and see the line that the ball is taking once it's off the bowler's hand. See it, if it's going to hook up right into the pocket or whether it's going to go long and miss out. I like to follow the track of the ball.
Now Bruno needs to get himself together here, still looking for a strike. Well, finally gets a pocket hit and finally gets some reward. Just wonder if nerves were playing their part. Although, having said that, he has bowled at quite a decent level against the likes of Chris Barnes in exhibition tournaments before. Yeah,
he's certainly played one or two events around the world. And as you say, he's played up exhibition matches with Chris Barnes on TV. And he's certainly got the high backswing and the smooth style. It just took him a little while to get used to this lane condition. Unfortunately, had a couple of open frames to start with.
Ringing 10 for Krasavkin, just a little bit of frustration creeping in there.
Yeah, he's made his double. Unfortunately, he did have one big split, which was just a 5 and a 3 count. But, making the pocket and just leaving single pins at this particular time. Hoping to make the spare. And she does. He takes his spare ball out and straightens the shot out for those corner pins.
So I always feel for guys like Victor. They've worked so hard to establish the sport in their country. They've been instrumental in setting up the federation. That takes a number of years to do that. And then by the time the spoils start to appear, i.e. the big tournaments and the big players start to visit your country, sometimes you just coming towards the end of your career, you're starting to lose the form, and you just have to take some joy in the fact that you're the person that created it.
Simon, I couldn't express that better myself. I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, you do a lot of hard work for years and years. You get to the autumn of your career, and then an 18-year-old comes along and shoots a couple of 300 games against you, and you think, what's going on? The game's changed.
Sounds like a touch to nerve there, Cass.
No, I've done my bit. I've got my World Championship medal, so I'm quite happy with my CV. Thanks very much.
Thoroughly deserved as well. Well done to Victor. So just feeling the pressure a bit under the TV lights here, dabbing some sweat away from his brow. Bruno, though, got to keep this run going.
Well, yes, he has, because he's pins down. Best part of 20 pins adrift at the moment, and Victor's working on a double. Good looking shot from Bruno in frame number 8.
Well, he's straightened it right up, hasn't he? And he's getting it into the pocket now.
They have to watch this lane condition. As I say, it's a flat condition right across side to side. But both players being right-handed, they're playing in their own sort of track area, and that will cause a transition of the oil, and it will change. And that was a change there, wasn't it? The ball just held out a little bit too far. Leaves a 2 and the 10-pin standing. This is likely to be an open frame for the Russian. Gave it a try, but didn't quite make it. Open frame in frame number 9, so he's got some work to do, but he's still in the lead. Coming up for frame 10, and he's going to be sub 200, but it may well be that he's got enough. Bruno's really got to do some work in the last couple of frames to take this first match.
Straight through the head pin, and Victor at the moment spraying it about all over the place. can't find a line that really suits him. And I think with the way both of these men bowl, they're not able to muscle their way through the lane condition.
Well, Victor's got 4 strikes, 2 doubles, and he's just spared out there, so he'll have 1 extra ball in the 10th frame, and he's going to be over 180. Not the greatest score, but hey, this is tough lane conditions.
No opens for Victor?
Yeah, 1 open in the 3rd frame.
That's right.
And 1 in the 9th. So he's had the 2 opens, but he's had the 2 doubles. So he's struck out, and he's got 185.
And well, just that ringing 10 in the corner for Bruno. The game is Victor's. Victor's the victor, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm afraid Bruno's showed us how not to spare and not to strike at the same time, unfortunately.
Well, he's a better bowler than that, Bruno Bidoni, and he'll be a little frustrated. He's going to have to watch the rest of his tournament from behind with the rest of the bowlers, but he can watch and enjoy what he's created here. So Bruno Bidoni goes out of this stepladder final. Victor Krasavkin goes through, and he will meet Phil Hulst of the Netherlands in match number 2 of this stepladder final after the break. Stay with us.
After the men, make way for the girls. World Cup football from the under-20s. It's still competitive and technical, but this competition has a special gloss of its own. Women's Under-20 World Cup from July 13th to August 1st on Eurosport and Eurosport 2.
Poznań Porsche Open.
Summer brings out the best. July on Eurosport 2. We're better than on the beach. Carnivals on the coast, festivals of soccer. The atmosphere's a blast, and the soccer's something else. Get set for another Football World Cup. Germany hosts the women's under-20s version. Bright young talent, packing bags of skills. Tours back for more close encounters. Chicago's up for the BMX Open. Enough said. The boys will do the talking on the bikes. Baseball Diamonds and Europe. The 31st European Championship aims to hit the spot. The Netherlands rule the bases, so they're in everybody's sights. Spare a thought for Australians. It's winter time down there. They don't seem too bothered though. They've got Aussie rules. All on show in July on Eurosport 2, New Generation Sports Channel.
Welcome back to the Chateaubriand Bowling Centre. And welcome back to our stepladder final here at the 2010 Bowling Promotion Cup. A new venture in the world of 10-pin. Now this young man, Phil Hulst, we think he's probably got a bit of a future in this sport. Just 20 years of age. Dutch national team member for several years now, having been a national team youth member since 2005. Has a good record within the Netherlands, as you would expect. And he's sort of top 20 when it comes to EBT events, European Bowling Tour events, when he gets it together.
Well, the Netherlands is a hotbed for 10-pin bowling, and this young man's got quite a career in front of him, as you said. He's just left a solid 9-pin off of a pretty good pocket hit. Takes his spare out hard and straight, and there was a great deal of rotation on his first ball, so it's going to be interesting to see this young man take on the Russian.
Up steps Victor, 41 years of age. Another Russian team member, as you would suspect, but also one of the brains behind the Russian Federation in terms of developing the whole of the Russian bowling system.
He only managed 185 in the first match, but turned out to be a winner. Unfortunately, that ball has got caught up in some lane oil and has hurried on by in the 2-4-8-10, which is likely, unfortunately, to be an open frame. This is a very awkward split to try and pick up.
Yeah, more about that condition in a second. Let's just see if Victor can make this. Well, gave it a go, got a bit of a mix on the pins, but Messenger didn't quite get across. But you can see that end on camera, Cass, is really showing us the ball getting caught up in the oil. And you can see it's trying to force its way back, and the oil's keeping it straight.
That's right, yeah, it's starting to aquaplane. There's 40 feet of oil, as I say. We're not quite sure what quantity of oil there is there, but as I say, it's equal across gutter to gutter. So where there's going to be some hook, it will be consistent. And it's just a matter of whether these players can be consistent, and then that's the way they're going to have to beat this lane.
Well, we haven't seen Sergei Andreev bowl before, the Russian who's awaiting the winner of this one in match 3. But on what we've seen so far from Phil Holst, and of course what we know about the PBA star, Michael Hagen Jr., those two guys would have the strength to rip it through this oil. Whereas the other bowlers are having to be tremendously accurate, because once the oil has got them, it's taking that ball away. Not the best start from Victor.
It's not, Simon, it's not always a matter of fighting through the oil. It's a matter of getting the angles right, coming off the oil with the right angle and the right rotation. And hopefully there's enough back end or hook in the last 20 feet to bring that ball up into the 1-3 pocket at the right speed, with the right angle and the right rotation. I know it sounds a bit repetitious to keep saying that, but that's the 3 things you really need. Get that ball coming off the break point.
Well, it really fizzed
pretty much like that. Yeah,
that was beautiful.
Got the headpin coming across as well as the Messenger. It's a great looking shot. You can see the rotation of the ball, and it just bites up because it's a pretty powerful shot.
And in terms of the changing condition on this particular flat oil pattern, what are we going to see? Are we going to see oil taken down towards the pins equally?
It certainly looks as though there is a heavy amount of oil there, so you will get the ball carrying down. You notice the players, every time they get up, they use a cloth to wipe the ball. Well, that's actually wiping off the lane oil that the ball's picked up on the previous shot. So they'll need a clean surface ball for their next shot, and just hope that it comes off nicely. As I say, when it gets to 40 feet, comes off the tapered oil and snaps up in the back end the last 20 feet. And that's a perfect looking shot. Great example of what I was just trying to say. He's found the line, he's got the speed right and the rotation right, and that was a great looking shot. And that's the first double of the match for Phil Holst.
He's enjoying himself here. I think Victor's feeling the same. No, he's just struggling for pace and rotation at the moment.
Yeah, 210 split. The ball's just hurried on past. Don't quite have enough power, but that's a pretty good try. And unfortunately, just didn't get across, did it? Just laid dead in the gutter. It's an open frame.
Just starting to interact with the crowd. And there's a strike for Victor. So we've talked about this before, Cass, but the person that manages to develop the lane oil that we at home can see via our TV coverage, but the bowlers can't see, is going to make themselves a few quid, because that will be fascinating to see where this oil's going, where it's being moved to, how the ball is stripping it away.
These are the things that you learn about lane conditions over a period of time, but I'm talking years, not certainly not 5 minutes for new bowlers. And Phil's just ripping this rack apart now. That's 2 good looking shots. As I say, he's worked out an angle coming off at his break point, and certainly getting a bit locked and loaded.
Turkey then for the young Dutchman. Bowled 7 300 games, got it the wrong way around, 7 300 games.
Well, you can certainly tell by his style that he's learnt this game, and only at age 20 he's got a great future in front of him. Very tall and rangy, very high backswing, look at that. And he rips that ball off the wrist. Goes 4 in a row. Very nice too.
showing out for the crowd as well. He's enjoying this one. A lot of these bowlers will not have had the opportunity to showcase their talents on the TV before. Brooklyn strike then from Victor.
Yeah, I'm not sure what bowling ball they're using at the moment. Obviously reactive resin, but Victor's ball doesn't seem to be hooking quite as much. But having said that, he's playing the middle of the lane, where the oil sort of accumulates. So he may well be putting the ball straight down into heavy oil.
Yeah,
Last one too. Makes 3 strikes in a row, so he's got a turkey. So we've got a bit of a match on now. 20 odd pins the difference.
That one didn't make it back. Went wide, stayed wide.
Yeah, just a single 4-pin. He'll accept that. It's an easy spare. Hard and straight with his spare ball. Not looking for any hooking or deviation. Straight at it. And we'll come back and hope that he can get back on his strike line. Having rolled 4 in a row and that single pin spare. Here he goes. He's picking the ball up. He's wiping the oil, lane conditioner, the oil off the ball, so as he can get as much dry surface of the ball onto the dry part of the lane when it gets down to 40 feet. That will set up the friction between the ball and the lane, and the rotation on the ball will make it hook. That's the quantum physics part of this game.
Nice work. It was a temporary blip on the right-hand lane. Phil back into that strike line.
Yeah, good looking game so far. 4 strikes in a row. No open frames. He's going to go through the 200 barrier here reasonably easily if he just keeps his head down.
Yeah, it's Phil's match to take now. Victor's out of it, and barring an absolute shocker from the young Dutchman, I think we'll see him advance into the next round to play another Russian, Sergei Andreev.
Yeah, radar's been a bit skew-iff in this game, I'm afraid. Needs to redirect. Probably a change of ball would be help for him, but he just hasn't kept the line consistent. He's been inside, he's been outside. Of course, repeatability is one of the things that you have to do to be a top bowler. Find your pocket line and repeat and repeat and repeat. 3 strikes in a row, open frame strike. So it's not the most productive last few frames for Victor.
It's a repetition, isn't it, Cass? But the thing is, it's not quite as closed a skill as it sounds, because the open element to the skill is the fact that the lane condition is changing, and you do have to move on the line. You're going to have to go left or right to cover. You're going to have to make sure that you're delivering on different arrows, different boards. So there is an open element to the decision-making process.
You look at your ball and see how it reacts. And if it's not doing what you want, you've got to then decide, well, was it me or was it the lane? So there's 2 elements that you've got to decide. Did I throw that ball perfectly correctly? And if I did, why didn't it react? Or was it the lane that's caused slight transition in the oil, and perhaps I'm going to have to make an adjustment to get it right in the pocket? Great looking shot from Phil there in frame number 8. That's another double for him. Certainly looks the part, this young fella, doesn't he?
I couldn't agree with you more. He's looking every bit a potential champion here. To do that, he'll have to get past Sergei Andreev and Michael Haugen Jr. of the United States, the PBA exempt player. Oh, just a bit lucky there not to leave the 7-10. The messenger too slow to get across before the machine came down.
Yes, he very much looks an international player, doesn't he? And as I say, at 20 years of age, there's a great future ahead for him. No doubt gets out quite often on the European tour. And plays probably quite regularly against some of the PBA stars that come over from the States and play on the European tour now. When their close season is down in the States, they tend to travel a bit now, and it's great to see. Some real top-flight bowling in Europe nowadays. Victor's gone walkabout, I'm afraid. Can't seem to find that headpin at all.
Yes, with all the coverage that 10-pin bowling is getting on Eurosport, these PBA players are now household names.
Yeah, and it's great to see. I mean, when I was younger, they were just sort of names and pictures in books. You'd read about their victories, but you'd never see them. And of course now with PBA Tour shown on Eurosport and around the world, as you say, they're household names, and you can pick them out of a lineup.
Another open frame for Victor, and I'm afraid...
Yeah, that's not enough, I'm afraid. 152 was his final score with 5 open frames. And if he hadn't hit the turkey in the middle, he'd have only scored about 100, unfortunately. But this is the winner of this match, and he's going to progress, looking good.
Looking to go comfortably past the 200 mark. Well, Brooklyn strike there. That was what he would have ended up with if he could have knocked all of them down, but he didn't.
Yeah, it's unusual. He's left the 9 and the 10 pin, both on the back line of the pin deck. The ball will fit between these two, but you've got to be quite accurate.
But Phil Holst is home and dry, and he will meet Sergei Andreev after the break. Forget the fact that was an open frame. Phil Holst looking in good shape.
It's the control, the aggression, it's like an explosion of all your abilities to try and get this machine through a road as quickly as possible. You need very quick reactions. Your vision needs to be very, very sharp. All the time your brain is maybe 300 meters up the road. Driving in night, it's like driving in a tunnel. The small things that you take for granted in daylight all of a sudden become blind, and you can see absolutely nothing. It's not about the fame, it's not about the money, it's about pure satisfaction.
Share all the sensations of the Intercontinental Rally Challenge all season long, live on Eurosport and Eurosport 2. The Tour de France 2010. All the way to the Champs-Élysées. Complete coverage at your fingertips. With live text commentary, results, standings, and breaking news. All at eurosport.yahoo.com.
Two matches down on the stepladder final of the 2010 Bowling Promotion Cup. 2 to go. And Phil Holst has looked the form player so far. So the Dutchman gets match number 3 of this stepladder final underway, and he gets it underway in impressive style. Strike to open up, and he's up against the 36-year-old Sergei Andreev from Moscow. Russian team member for some years now, but also has the distinction of winning the Russian ranking system title, the best player of the year, a record 3 times. 01, 05 and 09. So he's come into this tournament with a bit of form behind him. But again, another man that's not got off to the most confident start and left himself a split.
Yeah, the 4.67, a ball that just rode up a little bit high on the headpin. Didn't break anything up. Phil Holst, though, sitting there in the orange shirt, started with 225 in his first game and has opened up with a strike, so he's really lined up. And probably feeling quite confident as well.
One hooked up on him, but it's found the 1-2 pocket for the right-hander.
Well, I'm sure he's very happy with that because it's a strike. And he'll be looking to double that up in frame number 3.
He's going to have to play well to beat this man, though.
Yeah, he looked very good from the off. Got his line going straight away and got the great reaction. You see, it's just a little bit high, just snapped up on him at the end, but a makeable spare.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. Spoke too soon. Open frame for Phil.
Well, that makes it interesting. That certainly has let Sergei off for his first frame.
Well, it also tells Phil that hey, you've got to be careful. You know, these spares aren't guaranteed, especially playing across through heavy oil on the lane. You get the reaction you wanted with the ball, and again this time too, it leaves the 3-9-10.
So the strike's just deserting the young Dutchman for the moment. You can see the players in the background staying around. So Victor Kazafkin, who's just been knocked out by Phil Hulst, that's a good spare. Watching on, and in the red and black shirt, keep your eyes open for the man wandering about in the background. That's Michael Haugen Jr., who's awaiting the winner of this match in the championship game. Now, not only is this man won the best player in Russia title 3 times, he's won the national title as well twice. And he's also in the Guinness Book of Records for bowling for 51 hours continuously. So he's got the stamina, not the accuracy at the moment though.
I am assuming that that's a charity type marathon event for 51 hours. I did 24 hours once and I know what that's like. That's enough. But 51, crikey.
Yeah. I mean, they have all those little clauses within those 51 hours that the Guinness Book of Records allow organisers to apply. Every 2 hours you're allowed a comfort break, or you're allowed a quick rest of the bowling arm.
Another interesting feature is, Simon, that he's a colour commentator for bowling on a Russian sports network.
Yeah, you better watch out, Cass.
Well, I don't think he speaks English, so I'm feeling reasonably safe at the moment.
Well, Sergei with a poor miss there, and he'll be so annoyed with himself. The sports student from Moscow University, who's gone on to become one of the highest rated coaches in Russia. And
yeah,
this man's back in. It's all he needed, wasn't it? Just a sniff at this game, Hulst.
Well, that's right, yeah. A single pin miss from Sergei, which, as you say, he'll be very upset about. Bowlers don't like to miss single pins at all. And then Phil saw it and, of course, jumped all over it with a strike, second one of the game.
Needs to double this up now. Doesn't do so.
Yeah, see, that ball didn't hook up. It was pretty much in the same area that he's been playing, but it just hurried on. Didn't hook up to the pocket, went straight through, even though it had a lot of rotation on it. So we may see a bit of transition in the oil on the lane just on that line. So he might have to look to make a move. Try and find some other angle to get into that pocket.
And a chance for a bit of an experiment as well with that last spare, just exploring a line to make the spare. But nothing really from Sergei Andreev to suggest that Phil Hulst will be in trouble here. Needs to find something and find it quickly. Been on the national team now since 2001, Sergei Andreev. Oh, we'll take that.
Well, that was a better looking shot, actually. I get the feeling he's slowed the ball down there. He's gone wide outside, but as the pace was down, it's allowed the ball to hook up, and it's made the pocket and carried all 10, which is exactly what he wants to do. Now it's time to repeat it. Well, fortunate just to leave the 4-pin. The 10-pin was standing there for a ball that just didn't quite make the pocket. And it's a makeable spare, and it's well converted. Just 10 pins difference between the two players at this particular time. As Phil moves into frame number 6. Still hasn't managed a double in this game. But that's an absolutely great looking shot. That is a perfect strike, and he knows it. Now he's really pleased with that. He just has to double it up. Keep doing that and you'll have a big game, but it really was a good looking shot.
He's a confident young man. He clearly enjoys his time in front of the crowd and now in front of the cameras, courtesy of Bruno Bidoni and his bowling promotion cup. So I do hope this does continue. It takes time for a format to find its feet.
Ooh, pretty unfortunate.
Everything but.
Yeah, 4-pin standing. Didn't get a little tap from the flying pin that was coming round the lane. Can only be a spare. As I say, he hasn't managed to put 2 strikes together yet on this pair of lanes in this game.
Sergei, much more compact bowler. Quite a big height difference actually between he and Phil Hulst. But you got to feel for Sergei here because, you know, from a coaching perspective, he knows exactly what's happening out there and he just can't do anything about it. This is not what he wanted to do on camera.
Yeah, unfortunately not getting the consistency that we know as a bowler he would like to. Not getting reaction with the equipment he's using.
He's heading for a similar score to Bruno here, who bowled 144 in match 1. It's another open frame and it's a desperate situation now for Sergei Andreev.
Well, he's testing all of the pins, but unfortunately not all at once. Just 5 on that shot. And a pretty difficult spare, likely to be an open frame. And it'll be his 4th open frame of the game. No doubles. Heading for a, let's just say, a mediocre score. Another open frame, very unfortunate.
Oh, look at him. He can barely contain his frustration as he wanders away, shoulders slumped. Looks like he has been bowling for 51 hours.
Well, the unfortunate thing is, in the stepladder television finals like this, it's just a 1-game shootout. Normally, if you're in a tournament of, let's say, 10, 15 or 20 games and you have a bad game, let's say 140, 150, you can hope that you're going to go out and shoot 250, cover that score and move on. In a stepladder final, it's 1 game and 1 game only. And unfortunately, this is not Sergei's game. Yeah, Phil had a bit of trouble as well with this at this stage now. His ball hurried on, didn't make the pocket, didn't break anything up.
He's quite a twitchy player. He keeps adjusting the shirt. He's got the Elvis shoulder going on as well. And he likes to sort of replicate the bowling arm movement as well as he walks back from each delivery.
Whether he's played on television or not before, that I don't know. But it may well be that he's taken an opportunity to highlight himself in this environment. Takes away a nice spare.
Well, judging by his results, most of his big results have been at junior level and youth level, so it's unlikely that he has been in front of the TV cameras before.
Well, if this is the first time, Simon, I'm sure it won't be the last.
No, definitely, definitely.
He's the sort of player that we like to see. He's tall and rangy. I'm sure the girls have got an eye for him. And he's a pretty good bowler.
There you go, marketing company's dream then. Phil Hulst with a 24-pin advantage. He finds the Brooklyn pocket, but doesn't take a strike away from that. Just saw a brief shot there of Michael Haugens Jr. sitting in the background. He's been sort of moving amongst the crowd and chatting and laughing. And, well, I just hope, Cass, that he's not taking this too lightly, because he must be thinking at the moment, this is my tournament for the win.
I would like to think that he's watching, especially Phil, how his ball is reacting on this oil, on these lanes. and maybe perhaps just learning something from it before he starts his match.
Sergei, with the look of a man that would really prefer to be somewhere else right now. Someone else, he might be fancying that as well, but certainly somewhere else, because he's not had a good time in this match, and well, he's in danger of not being able to break 150.
Who do you think he'd like to be if he wanted to be somebody else? Pete Webber? Or?
Yeah, well, right.
That's not bad.
Right now, yeah. Chris Barnes, Pete Webber, Mika Koivuniemen if we want to go Europe style.
Absolutely.
But he's built like a Norm Duke, isn't he? He's not a towering man.
Short and compact.
Norm Duke, Parker Bone. Those are the sort of people he should be having a little look at style-wise. I'm sure he has on many occasions. He'll have been watching all of our Eurosport PBA coverage, of course.
Along with the millions of other viewers.
Indeed.
Takes himself a spare. And this will be his final ball. And unfortunately, you're right, somebody's not going to break 150. A strike will give him exactly 150. So come on, Sergei, put it in the pocket. Let's see what you're made of.
Well, he's going out the tournament, that's for sure, so let's do it in style.
Yeah, 2 strikes so far, just not enough.
And a big ooh and ah from the crowd. They were rooting for Sergei to finish that one off. So looking for a spare, and gets it. And he's way below his game.
Unfortunately, he is, yeah. I was a bit ahead of myself. He's earned himself one more ball. The full ball in the 10th frame. He's changed his ball. It's a bit too late for that, I'm afraid. Will he learn anything from this? We'll wait and see. The answer is no, because the ball's sailed past him, but he's taking 5. A 145 game is, unfortunately, not quite good enough today.
Shakes hands with Phil Holst, who gets a big reward. Not only has he gone to the final, the championship match at this 2010 Bowling Promotion Cup, but he's going to play against a PBA star, Michael Haugen Jr., no less. Awaits this 20-year-old Dutchman. The championship match then to come after the break as Phil Holst sails through another one.
Poznań Porsche Open.
The Tour de France 2010. All the way to the Champs-Élysées. Complete coverage at your fingertips. with live text commentary, results, standings, and breaking news. All at eurosport.yahoo.com.
On Eurosport 2. Sean White is sending them wild. It's a 1260 from David Bendek. What a competition. Taz Burrow riding high again. Oh, how does he manage that? The crowd are loving it. This is what you call live action.
Live it live. Live Extreme on Eurosport 2, new generation sports channel.
Welcome back to the championship game for the inaugural 2010 Bowling Promotion Cup. From Chateaubriand in France, the man in the orange shirt, national team member, and a very, very good player by the looks of it, Phil Holst. Just coming on to the international scene and giving a good account of himself so far at this tournament. Managed to dispose of Viktor Krasavkin of Russia, followed by his compatriot Sergei Andreev. Neither men bowl particularly well, it has to be said, against Phil Holst. So he's going to have a very different test in this championship match up against PBA player Michael Haugen Jr. And what a way to start. Strike first up, although it was a Brooklyn one.
Oh, he's not going to worry about that. Any strike against a PBA exempt player, wherever it goes, if it counts 10, that's great. It looks great on the score sheet. It's a big cross.
Now then, Michael Haugen, one of the most patient men on the PBA. 43-year-old, tall man. He can match the Dutchman for height. That's not a great start.
Oh, well, that was pretty unfortunate, actually, because that's a 4-9 split left off of a ball which was almost perfect, but not quite. And unfortunately, it can be an open frame.
Dear me.
Yeah, it's not the way to start. It was very unfortunate. To all intents and purposes, it looks like it's right in the 1-3 pocket.
Now, the reason that Mike was so patient in his career, had to wait for 200 PBA events before he took his first win. But he's taken a couple of big wins, that's for sure. He's also, Cass, had a couple of notable defeats as well.
Cast your mind back, Simon, to 2001. The Greater Louisville Open final between Michael Haugen Jr. and Pete Weber. Mike shot 279 in the final game on television and still lost, believe it or not. Pete Weber taking 289, 11 strikes, and shut him out on television. Not a game that he'll want to remember.
And had to wait another 7 years before he finally took his title. He could have throttled Pete Weber that day. Mind you, Pete likes his drama, as we know.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to see Pete in Europe sometime this year. There's a few events going that he's played in for a couple of years and has been more than welcome to come back. And, Phil Holst gets his second strike in the right place this time. On the right-hand side of the headpin. So he's opened up with 2 strikes. Mike Haugen, an open frame.
Well, we know exactly how the European players think about the PBA in general. They want to play on it. They want to be there. They fully appreciate the talent of the bowlers that operate on that particular tour. But once those PBA bowlers step outside of the States, they are fair game. And these European bowlers are desperate for a go at the big names. And this young man has got his chance now. What a start to this championship match. Good lad. Another strike from Phil Holston. The 20-year-old is showing no nerves at all.
No, another good looking strike, 3 strikes in a row. The nice thing about it is he's played 2 games already on this pair of lanes, so he's lined up. He knows where the ball is breaking and not breaking. Michael Horgan is coming in fresh, and he's got to find that line, and that's high through the headpin as well. Looking to play the straighter shot, more from the corner of the lane and the wider outside. Just hasn't quite got it right in his first 3 shots. As I said earlier, it's only a 1-game shootout, so he's only got 7 frames left to find it and start striking. Managed to spare all right, 2 in a row. It's not what he needs if he's going to take this young man, this young 20-year-old from Holland, and give him a bit of a bowling lesson.
Well, fair play to Michael. He's put his reputation on the line at this tournament. I'm sure Bruno Bidoni is very grateful for his participation.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. The man from Arizona has come over at short notice to take part in the Bowling Promotion Cup, and it's great to see.
There we go. There we go. He's in. Now, can he stay in?
As you can see, it's certainly a less hooking shot that he's playing. He's playing from the outside of the lane, off the corner, reasonably straight, but got the rotation on the ball. Just got up and mixed those pins around. Got some work to do because he's behind. And this young man must be feeling quite confident. Starts with 3 strikes in a row. And another 300 game goes begging.
Oh, well.
We weren't going to say anything about it.
Oh, he's a lucky boy.
Wow.
Just stumbled on his delivery there.
Can you believe that? Like a feather duster, he's tickled that pin and kicked it over. How fine is this? Fine enough.
Trick shots.
Well, it's a spare. No open frame.
That is a very deep knee bend and a very high back lift for a tall player. You don't see that from the tall players.
Well, yeah, I agree with you on the knee bend. Yeah, that's right. They have to get right down low, and it's not always possible. But the high backswing, yeah, it seems to be actually a characteristic of taller players.
Let's just see the difference in styles, because Michael Haugen Jr. is pretty much the same build, almost exactly the same build as the younger man, and there you can see bending right over and just stroking that ball down the lane. But
it's only a half backswing, as you can see. Doesn't really get up very high at all at the back. Just a 6 spare.
But we've seen that from a number of guys, the likes of Wes Malott as well, bowls like this. Kind of manoeuvres the ball round the leg.
It's the style that you start with. When you first start playing, whatever age, the style you start with is very similar. You'll keep that all the way through your career. You won't want to change it because you'll settle on a style that suits you, is comfortable, and you can make strikes with it. Why change?
And unfortunately, some of us have settled on a style that's rubbish.
I was actually talking about the likes of Jason Belmonte, who, at the age of 2, a two-hander, is still playing two-handed.
Yeah, he and Oscu operating on the PBA with the 2 hands. Whereas most bowlers favour this type of style. But this is a really classic look to the way Phil Holst bowls. And he clearly generates a lot of revs. Well, he's not been particularly accurate, but he's muscled his way down there.
Well, he's staying clean. He's had no open frames. He's got the 3 strikes in a row to start with. And he's just put some spares in there, so he's on par for 200. Mike Horgan's had that open frame and no doubles. So he's really got some work to do. I'm just harping back to the PBA, Simon, some news in recently that England's Stuart Williams will be playing on the PBA Tour in 2010-11 for the 2nd year in a row. Managed to get his exemption, and so there'll be some Europe and English interest out on the PBA Tour all of next season. And well done to him.
Yeah, more and more international players creeping in to the inner sanctum of the PBA. Michael Haugen, it's not going his way at all in this championship match. It just isn't happening.
It certainly isn't. He needs to strike off the sheet to make 200.
Dear me.
And he's only made 2 strikes so far, so he's not having the best of days, but as we've said, it's good to see a PBAXM player over here promoting the sport outside of the USA. Again, high through the head pin. Just can't seem to find that 1-3 pocket. Of course, given another few games, I'm sure he would do, and he'd be averaging probably somewhere around 215, 220. But he just needs to warm up, and unfortunately he's running out of frames to do that. Oh dear, oh dear. That could have been 7, that could have been 10, couldn't it?
Enough to keep his nose in front, though.
Absolutely, yeah. 9 spares good. It's an easy-ish spare to bowl straight at. And it's not an open frame, so your score progresses. There's actually 40 pins in this now, which is going to be much too much for Michael Horgan to bring back, I'm sure, because this young man doesn't look as though he's going to miss very much, although he may cross the head pin and get the occasional Brooklyn strike again. He's not going to worry about it. An overreaction there, because he went right on the lane, right to the gutter, and it still crossed the head pin. Striking the 9th frame, the foundation. Michael Horgan knows this is all over. Still going to go through the motions. Frame number 9. Well, hit the head pin, I'll say, and the 3 pin, which is the pocket, but and carried all 10, just about. Ball struggling to get up the hill there to the 1-3 pocket. Fighting its way through the oil, which we mentioned earlier. He's trying to use the angle at the same time, and doesn't work with that ball.
Leaves the bucket.
Yeah. Opportunity just to make a spare and get a filled ball in the 10th frame. Unfortunately, he's only going to be in the 170s. 3 strikes, no doubles.
Phil Hulse